And a very pleasant Tuesday afternoon to everyone, and welcome to Ridgecrest Talk. I'm Tom Heck, Justus Scott. Justus, a head baseball coach and the interim athletic director up at Saracoso, completed his first year this year and has been extremely busy recruiting players from every which area in the far west, and really has picked up some good talent, good citizens, and I know he's looking forward to it. Right now he's running camp up at the college, and he's got a morning camp and then an evening camp with pitchers and catchers. So he's been really absorbed, and then his son, he has a couple sons that play in the IWV. His eldest son is an 8th grader, and they've nicknamed him, or I have anyway, Little Babe Ruth. And right now I hear the Dodgers have made an offer of about $8 million if he'll sign in 4 years, and I think Justus is going to want to raise that some, but he's quite a slugger. So with all that said, it gives us plenty of stuff to talk about, but let's start with camp right now. Now, here in the high desert, it is a bit warm. You did start early this morning, and you had a pretty good turnout, and let's hear it.
Yeah, it went very well. We started at 8 o'clock this morning. First camp, that I've done at Saracoso, and I think it's the first camp, at least in the last few years, from what I hear. Great turnout. We had about close to 30 kids, and that was an 8 to 12 o'clock camp. Kind of camp setting where it's just a lot of fundamentals and just your general camp. Play some games towards the end, and ages from 6 to 15. So we had some young ones, and we had some old ones, and tonight we're going to go from 6 to 7:30 and a little more advanced hitting camp, older kids, and just an hour and a half, and get back at it tomorrow. So all this week,
Great.
Tuesday through Friday, in the morning, then at night.
Wow, that's great. Now, I know you have a couple more after this. When is the next camp start?
Correct. Next week's the same kind of criteria. In the morning, Tuesday through Friday, 8 to 12. We're calling it camp number 2. Pretty much your general camp setting. A lot of fundamentals of baseball and touch upon all aspects. And then at night, next week, is a pitch and catching camp. Strictly defensive work with pitchers and catchers.
Okay, so wow, quite a variety and everything, huh? It's pretty, that's very good. You can do that. We haven't, to my recollection, had a baseball camp probably, in at least 4 or 5 years. So you brought something else to the hill up there, and really the kids around here, I think, the ones that aren't in summer school are really looking, for other things that they can do, and the ones that really like athletics. We do offer a volleyball camp up there coming up with Coach Kim Young, and we also have a basketball camp starting July 20th and another one in August. So there's definitely plenty of stuff to do out there if people want to get involved and get the kids out there, and the prices are reasonable. So how do they go about, let's talk about baseball camp real quick, about how they would sign up and what the cost of that is.
Sure. Well, starting with the cost, it's for the general camp 1 and 2, it's $70. If you're able to pre-register, it was $60, so it was a $10 discount.
Wow.
The advanced camps are $10 more. The night camp, 6 to 7:30, advanced hitting and pitch and catching. Those run you $80, and then if you pre-register, $70. So for next week, there's plenty of time to pre-register, and plus that helps me knowing how many coaches to fill it with, so we don't have a high player to coach ratio. We try to get 5 or 6 campers to each coach, and you can sign up through our website, www.saracosa.edu. All the information's on there. I know IWV sent out a mass email, or call me on my cell phone, which is also on the website under athletics, and we'll get you signed up. There's plenty of room.
Okay, great. Now let's talk a little bit about IWV baseball right now. I know both your sons, Brooks and Chase, are involved in that, and the older guys, the big boys, so to say, are still much alive, and I believe they will play next week or the week after, and explain exactly where they are and how they got there.
Sure. They had a district tournament in Bakersfield. They went 4-0. Try to get this right. They beat Courts Hill twice. Ended up beating Courts Hill in the championship game. They beat Bakersfield once and Palmdale once. Palmdale, Lancaster, I can't remember which. But so they went 4-0. They were in a couple close games. I know the first game against Courts Hill, Evan Hernandez hit a game-winning home run.
Wow.
Walk-off home run. I think it was a 15-14 game. Then they faced Courts Hill again. in the championship, and I think won 11-1.
Wow.
So they're having a good run. They win districts, so since you win it, nobody played on July 4th, so everybody was off. And then they have this weekend off, and they go to, I believe, regionals next weekend.
Okay.
So they advanced. They got to skip a tournament because they won districts.
Do they announce where it's going to be, the regionals? Who hosts that? Or
Santa Clarita.
Okay.
Yep, Santa Clarita.
Down by New Hall, College of the Canyon area.
Still getting familiar with Southern California,
Yeah.
so that's I know it's just a drive somewhere.
Well, Justus is from Northern California, by the Sacramento area up there, and probably, what would the terrain be up there? Kind of the foothills, so to say?
Yeah, it's foothills. It's starting, elevation starts getting up there, and you just see a lot of green. You get some rain, you get some snow. Where we were about 45 minutes north of Sacramento.
Wow.
So it's starting to get up into the foothills.
Okay. All right. Well, high desert's a little bit different, obviously. Well, let's talk about some of the kids at IWV baseball. Now, how many are on the roster, and how many teams did that all-star team actually come from?
Okay, they came from there's 3 teams in the regular season Pony League. So I believe they have 11 kids on the roster. So they fielded 11 kids out of 3 teams, which is, I think, the pool that they have to draw from is obviously small. A lot of these teams they play probably have, probably 7 or 8 teams, maybe close to 100 kids in each division, where we had, roughly 36 kids. So they pulled 11 or 12 out of that 36, and they have a pretty good nucleus. That's what it is. They got 3 or 4 kids that can flat play, Evan Hernandez, who I mentioned earlier,
and Brooks,
great athlete. Yeah, Brooks, my son, and then sorry, I'm at a loss for names, but Hertz. Last name Hertz. Can't think of his first name, so if they're watching,
or
I'm sorry.
Wirtz, maybe.
It's Hertz.
Okay,
Okay. But all those guys are they play key positions and hit middle of the order, and you got Gabe Hess. Who kind of anchors it a little bit. So I haven't seen many games, but like I said, they have a pretty good nucleus, and they certainly got 3 or 4 kids that can play.
Mm-hmm. Well, when we come back, I want to ask you about the dimensions on how far it is to hit a home run at that level, and also the pitching at that level and the requirements, or how long you can go in a certain week. Those things pop up this time of year. We'll take our first break. When we come back, more from Justus. This is Ridgecrest Talk right here on KZGN. And if you just joined us, we're back. I'm Tom Heck, Justus Scott, the head baseball coach at Saracoso. And if you're not familiar with the show, this is our Tuesday night sports theme. And every Tuesday night we try to have someone from the community or one of the head coaches at one of the schools come in and talk about their sports program. And Justus is kind of running the gauntlet on everything. He's involved with the youth, he's involved at the college, and pretty much when it comes to baseball. In fact, he knows a lot about field maintenance, and we'll have to talk about also before we sign off tonight the clothing line, the Scott clothing line that we're both modeling stuff tonight from, and I think I have 4 or 5 of his shirts at least. But well, Coach, let's talk again before we finish our thought about IWV. Now, let's just say the regional goes well next weekend. And what would they need to do there to advance? How many times do you have to win there?
You have to win this tournament. So
point blank. Runner-ups don't go anywhere.
You win it, and you go to the Super Regional.
Okay. So now, would this be the same level or the same ladder? Someone asked me this, and I wasn't sure, to get to Williamsport, or is that a whole other association, or would you even know?
I think it's safe to assume that Williamsport Little League baseball at the 11 and 12, that's a huge deal. There's still, especially in the North and the Midwest, there's a lot of states that play Little League baseball. Here we're Pony, so not to knock this tournament or going, because also the Nationals is in Pennsylvania. I don't know where, but I think it's probably a little bit lesser, probably a little easier to win this and get to the Nationals than Little League, World Series.
Okay, so the Little League World Series, age-wise, it's always been and always probably will be 11 and 12-year-olds?
Yeah, it's 11 and 12.
Okay. So really then, for the kids above that, they wouldn't call it Little League, they'd call it Pony League or Pinto or whatever.
Yeah, again, a lot of regions in the country have Stan Musial, Connie Mack. There's a whole bunch out there. Babe Ruth. I think Babe Ruth is in the East Coast too, still a little bit. It just depends what organization you play for. But Little League is certainly to 12 years old. And
Okay.
Then if you're associated with Little League, I believe 13, 14, they call it Babe Ruth.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that makes sense. Boy, getting to Williamsport, because it's on television, and they used to televise the championship Saturday game, but now it's actually growing, and they're televising a lot more games back there. ESPN has picked it up some, and boy, you'll get first round, second round games, and everyone that gets back there seems to get some exposure and everything. So that's great. So in other words, in order to get to win this league that we're talking about, you still have to climb a pretty high ladder.
Correct.
Now.
I believe there's 2 or 3 more tournaments in the mix that you have to win to go to nationals in Pennsylvania.
Okay, got it. Now, what would you? And it's hard to pinpoint exactly, but what's your estimate as far as hitting a home run at this level? I mean, how many? You think of a major league field, and they differ some, but 405 would be maybe a normal blast to center field. Down the power alleys, maybe 375, 380 in the power alleys. And down the line, sometimes, to me, right down the line is a short little 330 poke. I don't know of anything that would be less than that. There might be a 320 out there somewhere. But exactly what do you think the dimensions are in the IWV for the older kids?
Well, each park's different, especially in these tournaments. But the IWV here locally, they don't have signage on there. But you left and right field, you'll see it pretty similar. 305, 310, maybe some 320s. The big difference is in the power alley and center field. The place we were at, Bakersfield last tournament, in Bakersfield, I believe it was 350 to the center.
Oh, okay.
So again, for a 13, 14-year-old, it's still a pretty good poke, but it's not 400 feet. That's a big difference, left center, right center.
Do you think, looking at Major League Baseball, are there any parks, and putting you on the spot, but any parks that come to mind that maybe would be just a defined hitter's park, period? And the one that comes to my mind would be up in Denver at Coors Field. Now, the dimensions aren't that small there, but again, the altitude there,
Correct.
The balls travel and everything. And if you look this year, I looked it up last week. It's the first time I really checked this season. But you look at some of the batting averages of teams, and really, you're talking probably in the low 270s for your leaders. And then you got your bottom people. The Mets were pretty low. Angels were right in the middle. The Phillies obviously pretty low. But pretty low means about 230, 229. And that's not very good for a Major League Baseball team. But I noticed, though, that the ERAs on a lot of teams are very, very good. With the worst ERAs, which is earned run average, and the lower the better, obviously, with the worst ERAs around 5. The Colorado Rockies were just about 4.9, close to 5. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you think it has become, at least in baseball per se, more of a pitcher or a hitter's delight to play? What's easier now than it used to be, do you think?
I think it's transitioned a little bit over the last 4 or 5 years, certainly the last 5 years, to more of a pitcher's game. And you just see it's nothing that the hitters, other than maybe the steroid era being out and a little more, people looking at that. So many guys probably aren't taking that to enhance their game. But you just see everybody that rolls out there from a pitching standpoint that, middle relievers come in the 6th inning throwing 95 to 97. Just the stuff nowadays with pitchers is tremendous. I couldn't tell you the reason or how it's developed, but you look at the Vanderbilt Virginia World Series. They had guys that might here in 4 or 5 months be on a big league team just because they have tremendous velocity and tremendous breaking balls and command of both. So certainly the stuff that guys are throwing, when I mean stuff, just the velocity and the depth of breaking balls and sliders are just, it's amazing. I don't know how you could hit it.
So a lot of movement
Yep.
with faster velocity coming at you. It's a tough combination. Okay, when we come back for our last segment, we're going to talk strictly about Saracoso baseball. We're going to talk about recruiting and how things were this first year and what the outlook is for year number 2. Don't go away. Join us for the third segment. This is Tuesday Night Ridgecrest Talk. I'm Tom Heck, Justus Scott, right here on KZGN. And we're back. Welcome. If you just tuned in, this is Ridgecrest Talk. It's Tuesday night. Justus Scott, Tom Heck, Justus, the head baseball coach at Saracoso. And in our last segment, we're going to talk about Saracoso baseball and the Dog Yard, the home of the Coyotes. A tough first year for Coach and company. Not a whole lot of wins up there, and they struggled some. And he basically had a skeleton crew to work with when he got here, and came in late. As school just about ready to start and everything. So a lot of minuses, but despite all that and despite losing quite a few games, they were in quite a few games, and just a little bit more depth here and there or a few breaks here and there, and they would have won another 7, 8, 9 ball games, but they were very competitive for what they could put out. And I know that he's been all over the place trying to, get players to play next year up on the Dog Yard. Coach, tell us about how it's been going. Tell us about some of the struggles you've run into out there, and what it's like to try to recruit at this level, based on location and other things that we have.
Well, recruiting's hard just on its face. I mean, recruiting's a tough deal just because everybody else is doing it too. Everybody knows what they want. Everybody wants good players, and you can tell a good player when you see them, especially on the mound. Everybody's kind of recruiting the same guy at this level. You see that guy that's anywhere from 84 to 88. He'll light you up, and that's a guy you want. But again, everybody that we face in the conference and non-conference, they like that guy too. Recruiting's hard. We do here in Ridgecrest and Saracoso, we have some things that we have to battle more than other places. It's not the location necessarily. It's not the town. It's just that where we're located, we could draw out of Southern California, logically, or Bakersfield area. And both those areas have abundance of baseball players, but at the same time, they have abundance of junior colleges. And one of the things we fight, and rightfully so, is that with no scholarships, which the whole state's in, junior college-wise, we cannot offer scholarships, that it's financially feasible for more guys to stay close to home, live at home for a couple more years, and just go to the local junior college. So that's probably the number one thing that we fight here. Because basically, other than having one high school, and we certainly got 3 very good players from Burroughs this year, that we don't have 6 or 7 high schools in our immediate area that we can choose from, which a lot of these community colleges do. They don't have to go outside a 25, 30 mile an hour or mile radius. So that's definitely something that we battle. And then also the travel, because again, wherever we're pulling kids from, it's pretty much a long haul for them. Las Vegas, 3.5 hours. Southern California, anywhere from 2 to 4.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some of the local kids that we've picked up here from Burroughs High School. Let you go ahead and talk about the 3 seniors that are coming up the hill.
Yeah. Well, first we have Jeremiah Johnson, catcher. To me, in all my recruiting, and even last year watching teams that we've played, potentially is the best catch and throw guy that I've seen. He's has a tremendous arm for a kid that's coming out of high school. He's about 192, 193, which is very good. You know, and he's a big kid. He's got a lot of room to grow physically. You know, so he's a huge sign for us to have a catcher of that defensive quality. Dominique Hernandez, who I always call Biggie because that's what I've always heard.
Everyone calls him Biggie.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. And again, you know, a tremendous kid. Jeremiah's a tremendous young man too, and you know, Biggie's a great kid. You know, quiet kid, very respectful, just a good kid, always smiling, and you know, he's an outfielder primarily. You know, he plays a little third base, and he pitches a little bit. Just a kid that's very strong. You know, I think he's going to hit at a high level, especially at home at our place. He's got that swing that's kind of left center, right center, and our ball at our park carries a right center. You know, so again, a great sign. You know, J.P. Pooley, right-hander. You know, again, is going to be in the mix for a starting job, just like 4 or 5 other guys. He has great command. You know, and he played a little outfield in high school and put up great numbers offensively. So, you know, again, my thing in the fall is, you know, if you're a dual guy, you get out there and you compete at both sides, and we'll figure out if you're better suited on the mound only or if you're playing a position too.
Now, you also have visited the Las Vegas area, and you've been in over to Phoenix, and you've been probably over to Maui, and
thinking about it.
Yeah. But you know, and I wonder, we talk about Hawaii. I know high school basketball is average at best. I know high school football, though, has some very good players over there. What about high school baseball? Have you heard much about high school baseball?
You know, it's decent, but you know, you don't hear much about it. We actually have a kid from Hawaii that's coming on a visit next week.
Wow. From
the 13th to the 15th, a right-handed pitcher.
Wow.
You know, so he's a transfer from West Virginia. Not the University of West Virginia, you know, a Division II in a school of West Virginia. So he's gonna wanted to come check it out. You know, so but that's the only kid from Hawaii that we've got locked into. But anyway, yeah, we've kind of been all over. You know, again, you have to, especially trying to bring so many kids in. You know, each year you should, you know, anywhere from that 13 to 15 range, and this year we were looking to bring in anywhere from 25 to 28. So.
Okay. And I know in Las Vegas you've also going to bring in a few.
Yeah.
And I know you're hopefully going to pick up an assistant coach that's going to help you from Las Vegas.
Correct. Well, he's actually from Arizona. He spent a lot of years in Vegas. He's a retired, played in the big leagues with the Dodgers for a few years, you know, and then played pro ball in the minors and Mexico for, I believe, about 20. And, you know, he's a retired scout and, you know, draws a pension and is a baseball guy, and we've connected a little bit, and he's thinking about moving the family and getting back into baseball a little bit. So that would be a huge help because again, you don't run into those guys very much and the timing wise. But we do have some Vegas kids coming. Some of our returners are from Vegas. I don't know the breakdown, but the majority of kids are coming from California. Okay. We have 4 or 5 from Arizona, probably 5 or 6 from Vegas, and right now the other 18 or 20 kids are coming from, not that many, probably about 12 or 14 kids from California.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all our time for tonight. Hope you enjoyed hearing Justus, and we're going to have him on again here very soon. And we appreciate you tuning in Tuesday night, Ridgecrest Talk. Justus Scott, Tom Heck. Have a pleasant evening.